What makes you happy?
This community makes me happy and proud.
We are one team.
And we'll get through this together.
Hi guys, it's Madison back again this week. I hope you guys had a great weekend and are excited to be back in school. During trimester 2, we cannot change students from distance model to hybrid learning model. If you would like to change your distance learning to hybrid model for trimester 3, please contact your counselor. For students that have selected the hybrid model, we do expect our hybrid students to attend school in person on their assigned days. Hybrid students who attend online synchronized learning will not be marked absent. Here are some helpful reminders and about safety and staff to contact for support. Arrival and dismissal to CRHS are scattered. Please make sure your students report directly to the cafeteria for breakfast or to their first hour classroom. Please do not drop off students prior to 7:30 a.m. There is no morning basketball or other activities in the CRHS Fieldhouse while we are in hybrid or distance learning breakfast. Second chance breakfast and lunch will be served. The cafeteria and classroom are marked for social distancing. We ask for full cooperation with all of our students in this process. Hand sanitization stations are located at the main entrance and are in the lunchroom areas, but it's still important that students wash their hands throughout the day. The modified lunch schedules are included below and posted on your student schedule in the Student View app. Passing time is on the regular schedule, and we ask for students to social distance with their friends and to use our largest spaces between classes. Students that have a study hall are expected to report to the classroom listed on their schedule when they're in the building. On the days they are distance learning, students will not need to log into the Google Classroom for study hall. Before and after school activities or meeting virtually or in person, check with your advisor. Currently, there are no activity buses. Students who are not in an activity are expected to leave the building every day upon dismissal at 2:20. Here are a few other helpful hints for our hybrid students as they arrive at school on their scheduled days. If you ride the bus, review your pickup time and drop-off time in the Student View app. Bring your own water bottle and hand sanitizer. Charge your technology every night and bring your Chromebook, charger, and earbuds with you to school. Bring only the materials that you need for your classes since we are not using lockers. And bring 2 face masks to school each day. Keep your mask on and follow social distancing guidelines. CRHS participates at the Minnesota District 4 Career Development Conference. This past January, members of the Coon Rapids DECA competed at the Minnesota District 4 Career Development Conference. Among the 28 DECA members that attended the virtual competition, there were 25 students that qualified for state in at least one event. Some of the highlights at the conference included 32 overall finalists for Coon Rapids High School. Congratulations to Josie I., Emily H., Ewan N., Megan S., Khalid H., and Brooklyn B., who each qualified for state in both of their events. A special recognition goes to Megan S. and Emily H., who all earned a top 25 exam score at the conference. These students will competing in March at the DECA Minnesota State Career Development Conference for the right to represent Minnesota's DECA at the virtual International Career Development Conference this April. All the DECA members who attended should be applauded for their excellent showing. Lastly, Mr. Bondberg and Miss Connor would like to thank all the DECA members who competed in the virtual District 4 competition for their respectful and professional energy during and challenging district competition seasons. Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you, Maddie. On Friday, January 29th, students enrolled in hospitality and tourism throughout the district enjoyed a guest speaker from Louisville, Kentucky. Andrew Soliday is the marketing director at Hillrich and Brands by Co., who are the makers of the world-famous Louisville Slugger baseball bats and bionic gloves. They are also the home of the Louisville Slugger Museum and Factory. Andrew oversees all marketing promotions at museum, as well as their bionic glove division. He spoke to the students about the impact COVID-19 had on not only the museum and factory, but also their bionic gloves. Students learned how they changed gears from making their bionic gloves to focusing on making face masks. Andrew also explained the importance of remembering their local market by having giveaways for their collective mini bats. Students enjoyed hearing about the Would You Be Mine mini bat for February, as well as the St. Patrick's Day mini bat coming up in March. A highlight from one of the students was how Andrew shared with them how the museum honored the passing of legendary baseball player Hank Aaron. He spoke about the quick turnaround time to come up with a plan and set up to pay tribute to such a high-profile and respectful athlete. Locals and tourists enjoyed their tribute both in and outside of the museum, from the laying of the wreath at his Walk of Fame plaque to displaying his Hammering Hank bat throne, made for Topps event in the Atlantic in 2018, to other beautiful tributes. MACMH, Prairie Care, and a team of child mental health experts are delivering parents the information they need to support kids struggling with anxiety, depression, and ADHD. Between early February and mid-April, a series of virtual workshops and panel sessions will share simple, actionable strategies any parent can put into practice, like self-care and mind-body skills, nutritional strategies, sleep and exercise practices, healing technologies. And thanks to the support of the Minneapolis Foundation, each workshop is just $25. Scholarships are available and panel sessions are free. Cardinal Food Shelf and Compassion Fund. Please consider supporting our community. Food and gift card donations are needed to help the Cardinal Food Shelf. The food shelf is staffed by students workers who prepackage boxes and backpacks of food for students and families to take home as needed. Current needs are identified in the Sign of Genius. The Cardinal Compassion Fund is used to help students and families that have difficulty participating in the CRHS community due to the socioeconomic factors. Funds have been used for partial payments for expenses related to participating in school events and activities, and material costs for classroom projects. The fund has also assisted families in crisis. Checks can be written to AHEF with Cardinal Compassion Fund identified as the recipient on the memo line. Contact Kristen Patton, school social worker at 763-506-7133 or Christine Patton at ahschools.us for more information and to request assistance with these resources. That's all we have for you today, Cardinals. Hope you guys have a great rest of your week.
Coon Rapids Cardinal Earth presents Make Your Voice Heard on March 3rd from 10:15 a.m. to 11 a.m. Get your voice to the policymakers and write impactful statements about the environmental issues that matter to you. Your words, your voice, your planet.
So the process of this, you're going to sign up with the Google form, which you can get from your third hour teacher in the stream or from them. You will get an email invite with the code to Google Meet. You're going to check into your third period and then log into the session at 10:15 and it'll go until 11.
During the session, you will hear from your peers about environmental issues that impact you, and then write and send a letter to policymakers to make your voice heard now.
The 4 topics you can choose from are climate change, protecting Minnesota's wildlife, local food and waste reduction, and land use justice.
We hope to see you there.
Hello, everybody. Just want to give you a little history. Well, let me introduce myself. My name is Robert Murray. I'm assistant principal. Wanted to give you a little history on Black History Month. Black History Month was created by Carter G. Woodson. He was a activist, journalist, educator, and he was born in the 1870s and in Canton, Virginia. Carter G. Woodson started with the idea of teaching people Black history, and he was one of the innovators of the Black History Week, which eventually turned into Black History Month. So please join us in celebrating the contributions of African Americans and people of color to America, and this month of February, Black History Month. Thank you.
Madam C.J. Walker was born Sarah Breedlove in 1867 on a plantation in Delta, Louisiana, where her parents had been slaves before the Civil War. And her early life was really bleak. By the time she was 7 years old, both parents had died. She got married at 14, she said, to get a home of her own because she was being abused by a cruel brother-in-law, as she described him. She became a mother at 17 and a widow at 20. Necessity is always the mother of invention, and Madam C.J. Walker was losing her hair. There was no big line of hair care products for Black women or white women at the time. People usually used home remedies. She eventually came up with her own formula, and the real secret was not the product itself, but it was washing her hair more often and applying an ointment that contained sulfur. And this was really pretty revolutionary at the time. You think about it, there was no penicillin, there was no aspirin. Skin care, scalp care was something that was really neglected. People didn't bathe very often. They washed their hair even less often, sometimes not at all during the winter. And as a result, a lot of people were going bald. They had really horrible scalp disease. Sarah Breedlove, who later became Madam C.J. Walker, was one of those women. And by developing this system, essentially, her scalp became healthy, her hair began to grow back. She developed a hair care product line, and then she trained thousands of other women who began to buy and sell her products. And by the time she moved to Harlem in 1916, she was one of the wealthiest and most successful African American entrepreneurs in the country.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Rock and Roll Review. I'm Evan Barton and today we will be looking at Led Zeppelin, a heavy act that consisted of lead singer Robert Plant, guitarist Jimmy Page, bass player and occasional keyboard player John Paul Jones, and drummer John Bonham. When many people think of the genre of rock and roll, many reference the hard and gritty and distortion-filled guitar and its loud and spontaneous drums with loud, screaming vocals. And that is what Led Zeppelin is. But there's so much more than that. Not only are they responsible for different hard rock acts in the future, such as AC/DC, and at an extent Black Sabbath, but they are also responsible for some other metal acts like Metallica and Motorhead. But that's not all over this group, as they have accumulated a unique sound that is different from other acts that you may hear. How different? Well, you will figure out soon. In 1968, 1 year after the Beatles formed, a young Jimmy Page formed a band known as the Yardbirds, and shortly after started recruiting members such as John Paul Jones and Robert Plant, who then recruited John Bonham. Together, they would then change the name to Led Zeppelin and then record their first studio album, also called Led Zeppelin, in 1969, selling around 9.4 million copies. The album was a huge breakout for the group. So after the album came out, they then worked on their follow-up, Led Zeppelin 2, the same year, selling around 15.3 million copies. The band, rising in popularity, had a large following due to their sound revolving around blues-oriented rock. That artistic creativity would change up a little bit, as the band's love for folk music would result in Led Zeppelin 3 in 1970, selling around 21.9 million copies. Despite the critical backlash, the album sold very, very well, and has been a fan favorite. With the change in sound of the band bringing on different sounds and directions for the band, they decided to enforce these changes at once and for all, and created my personal favorite album. Led Zeppelin 4 was released in 1971 and sold around 28.6 million copies. The next album, Houses of the Holy, which was released in 1973 and sold around 11.8 million copies, was another hit for the group and showed more experimentation within their music. The next album would be a magnum opus and one of the greatest projects to be ever recorded. In 1975, the world would be greeted with their next project, Physical Graffiti, which sold around 9.2 million copies. The album has some of the best experimentation from the group, which would be the band's last respected album, because after that, Presence, which was released in 1976 and sold around 3.3 million copies, didn't sell as well as their counterparts and would be underappreciated by fans. The next album, In Through the Outdoor, which was released in 1979, sold around 10.9 million copies, would be the last album from the group. Despite selling well, the album is yet again underappreciated by fans and outside listeners alike. Throughout the history of the band, they have worked together very well, but what was coming for the band was not expected and would shock the band and fans worldwide. On September 25th, 1980, just 1 year after In Through the Outdoors release, John Bonham, the fantastic drummer for Led Zeppelin, died to alcohol poisoning. Bonham was also known as one of the best drummers ever, so when he died, it shook the world. The band, also shook, could not go on without Bonham, so they disbanded the group the same year. Now that we've taken a deep dive into one of rock and roll's most iconic bands, let's see which songs and albums that you should check out. Songs to listen to are Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You, Dazed and Confused, Communication Breakdown, Whole Lotta Love, Heartbreaker, Ramble On, Moby Dick, Immigrant Song, Black Dog, Rock and Roll. Especially check out Stairway to Heaven, that's my favorite track from Led Zeppelin. Going to California, When the Levee Breaks, Over the Hills and Far Away, and especially check out Kashmir. Albums to check out are all of them. Check them all out. They're all great and deserve to be listened to. And that's it. Next week, I'm going to be giving you the insane talent and charisma of Van Halen. Until then, I'm Evan Barton.
Cardinals, I'm here to give you some more tips on how to stay healthy during a pandemic. The biggest thing I could tell you is to try to make a schedule to follow by every single day. This gets your body used to waking up at the same time of the day, eating around the same times of the day, and make sure that you're having enough food and water throughout the day to make your body feel healthy and have enough exercise throughout the day. It's very important, especially during these times, to surround ourselves with people who make us happy and to do things that make you happy. It's very important to be able to step aside from everything that's going on and just have some time for yourself to think about anything that might be making you upset or anything like that. Surround yourself with people who will listen to you so you can talk to people during these times, and just remember that you are not alone and we're all in this together. Bye, Cardinals.
Hi, my name is Molly Terbeza, and today I'm going to be doing a movie review on the movie To All the Boys I've Loved Before, Always and Forever. This movie just came onto Netflix this past weekend and is the third and final movie of this series. This series is about a girl named Lara Jean who falls for a guy in high school named Peter. This movie is about their senior year of high school and they have to decide where they want to go to college. Peter knows that he's going to go to Stanford to play lacrosse, and Lara Jean has a decision to make. She applied to 3 schools, which were Stanford, Berkeley, and NYU. Her big decision is whether or not she should stay close to home and be by her boyfriend where she loves, or to go to the school she loves. This is a classic teenage rom-com movie and I would definitely recommend watching. I would rate this movie a 9 out of 10.
Back to it, Holland comes in and two-handed jam.
On Tuesday, they traveled to Centennial to take on the number 17 Cougars. Centennial was 7-2 with their only losses to top-ranked Andover and number 8 Maple Grove, so it would be a major test for the Bluebird squad. No score midway through the first, and an opportunity for the Fighting Bluebirds. Delaney Johnson is tripped up and CPCR goes on the power play. But it's the Cougars that pounce on the puck. Lauren O'Hara forces a turnover and leads a 2-1. She gets to Megan Goudreau on the front. She beats Mayer with a wrist shot, getting Centennial on the board shorthanded. We're late in the period. Goudreau able to get the puck to the corner. She feed the point. Abby Elliott puts it on net. Mayer gets a piece of it, but trickles in behind her. Centennial goes to the locker room with a 2-0 lead. The Bluebirds, they come out flying in the second. Kylie Scott crosses across the front. Puck is poked free, and Molly Terabeza able to backhand it past the keeper. Her team-leading 5th goal of the season cuts the lead in half. Unfortunately, the celebration won't last long. Just over a minute later, Nicole Hemer feeds Lauren O'Hara. She scores top shelf. The Cougars have a goal advantage again. CPCR controlled the action and heavily outshot Centennial, but the Cougars able to bury their chances. Ella O'Hearn gets behind the defense, makes it a 4-1 lead. Late in the second, they add 2 more on their way to a 6-1 win.
With just about every event becoming a tri-meet this year, the Cardinals are making sure to line up opponents that are going to push them to get better. They had 4 matches between Friday and Saturday, and again, 3 of the 4 were against ranked opponents. Cardinals were at Blaine on Friday, but their first matchup put them against number 17 ranked Woodbury. Tyler Herr comes up big for the Cards at 120 pounds, able to get himself a pin midway through the second period. Coon Rapids has an 11-6 lead after 3 matches. Timmy Horst making his varsity debut against the Royals at 132, gets the early reversal and turns it into a headlock for a pin in the first period. Nice way to break into the varsity roster. 152-pounder Carter Skradsky also getting his first chance on the varsity mat and making the most of his opportunity. He uses the double armbar to get his man to his back, and he'll get the pin in the final seconds of the second period. Alex Kowalczyk is one of the Cardinals' returning state entrants, and he stays perfect so far this season with a pin early in the second period at 182. It was 39-18 at that point. Cards on their way to a 45-30 win.
The Cardinals look to carry momentum into the second match of the night against the host Bengals. Blaine may not be ranked, but it's a conference match, so the Cardinals are fired up to stay perfect in the Northwest Suburban. Timmy Horst doing it again at 132. This time he gets his man to the splits, rolls him down the mat for a pin with just seconds left in the match, but the Cardinals trail 15-9. Not to worry, their strength is in the middle and upper weights. Carter Skradsky also able to starting his varsity career with back-to-back pins. He uses the headlock, finishes man in the third period at 145. Cards still down 18-15. Dalen Jones is on the mat next, and he gives the Cardinals their first lead. Great speed with an upper body strength. Helps them take control right away. He ends this one just a minute into the first period. Defending champion, hoping to get back to state this year. The match was a tie at 24 when Eli Madimba took the mat at 182. He's able to get Coon Rapids another first period pin, and they would dominate the rest of the way. They post 4 straight pins to finish with a convincing victory. Riley Hargrave with a solid hip toss to put his man to the mat in the second period at 2:20. He's able to get chest to chest to get the pin. So when you get the big boys, it always helps to have the top-ranked heavyweight. Gavin Layton rolls his man over in the second period, stays undefeated on the season. His pin finished the scoring with the Cardinals winning 48-20.
And the Cardinals should feel pretty good about where they are right now, considering what they've already been through. They were less than a week into practice when they had to shut down. Now they're trying to keep that from holding them back. They have a ton of potential this year, and they're hoping they can see it through to the end.
It's kind of a struggle because we can't do most stuff as we usually do, but we're striving through.
This is not the season anyone anticipated. The Cardinals started, like everyone else, with new protocols and procedures to limit exposure to the virus. Still, on day 4, a positive test meant they had to shut down.
I was pretty sad because I knew that if we had 2 weeks off, then other teams are going to be 2 weeks ahead of us. And honestly, I did not like it. One, because, you know, we have pods, but unfortunately that they didn't accept that, so the whole team had to shut down. So yeah, it just sucked for all of us.
The Cardinals were able to turn their disappointment into motivation. They did daily virtual workouts and tried to keep everybody fired up and ready for their return to action.
It's been good. We've been going much harder. The coaches made that clear, like when we had the break, like we're gonna hit the ground running. We're not gonna let this slow us down or hold us back. So when we got back, we were going hard. We were good.
You know, I thought our conditioning would suffer a little bit, but our kids worked hard when we came back. They were ready to go.
Even before their pause, the Cardinals' schedule was dramatically different than a typical season. Without the usual holiday tournaments, the Cardinals are trying to schedule as many top-tier teams as possible in the time they have.
We got a lot of solid teams to wrestle. We're not going to get as many matches, obviously. We're not going to wrestle as many good kids, so to speak, but the teams that we're wrestling are really good.
The Cardinals are doing everything possible to keep their season going. They have 5 returning state entrants who are all aiming to get back and get to the top of the podium. And they're hoping they can take even more teammates with them.
It's going to look different than years past, but that's the ultimate tournament. That's the tournament that shows our guys, you know, how hard they work.
They all know the end of the story has yet to be written. There are no guarantees, and the threat of the virus will hang over them the rest of the way. But they're going to fight for their chance to wrestle, and they're going to see it through as far as they are able.
Yeah, it's going to be tough because, you know, COVID.
And that right there is the statement that can just pretty much sum up everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Last week, they traveled to Champlin Park to take on the Rebels and the Osseo Orioles. It's been a struggle for the Cardinals so far this season, but they posted their best score of the year so far. Coach Diane Habel and her girls just trying to get better each time out and get healthier. Well, getting healthier will help. Cassie Rushmeyer continues to be the team leader on the floor. Her routine on Wednesday scored an 8.25. That's 6th place behind all 5 Champlin Park girls. Move over to the vault. Natalie Herber has a solid first attempt. A little bit of a step, but she's able to place 6th with an 8.4. Up next, Cassie Rushmeyer again, and she'll lead the team in this event as well. Her vault good enough for an 8.6 and 4th place finish. Nice job there. Ada Drummy on the bars coming up is one of the Cardinals athletes coming back from an injury. Her first event of the season, and it's a team best 6.325, and she'll finish in 9th place. Herber on the balance beam, a solid cartwheel early on, and now watch the dismount. The back somersault to the side, she sticks the landing. Natalie's 7.25 is also a 9th place finish. Cassie Rushmeyer showing the skill with a one-handed cartwheel, and how about another for good measure? Back to back, cranks up the difficulty, of course, and she goes forward somersault for her dismount. She has a team high 7th place finish with a 7.75 as the Cardinals post a 113.375.
Yeah, and we were all scheduled to have Jen Halverson and Dave Emme at the Park Center meet doing a webcast for us this evening. Unfortunately, the Park Center AD put the kibosh on that, said, I'm sorry, due to COVID, we're not able to have extra folks in attendance. But we will have those results for you next week on Sports Night. They are hosting Andover on Saturday, and we are going to try and shine the spotlight on them next week as well, as we are trying to arrange a visit to practice later this week, and we'll have some more insight into how they're dealing with the virus, and also with the number of injuries that they've had right off the bat, and what they're hoping will happen the rest of the way.
Yeah, they're looking to get those scores up for sure.
Well, the swimming and diving team is definitely the feel-good story of the winter season for Coon Rapids sports. This past week, a great test for the Cardinals. On Thursday, they hosted Spring Lake Park, putting two undefeated teams up against one another. Only one would be able to keep their record untarnished and keep themselves on track to be conference champion. Happy to say it's the Cardinals that do that. They make a statement right away after taking first and third in the 200 medley relay. They sweep the podium in the 200 freestyle. Matthew Struess wins in 1 minute 57.58 seconds. Nick Melsha and Nate Larson taking second and third. 23-7 lead after just two events. Jack Simmer had a big week for the Cardinals on the diving board. This back double somersault helps him post a 247.05. That's second all-time in school history. Cardinals just piling on the points and looking to put this one away as early as possible. Another 1-2-3 finish in the 100 butterfly. This time it's Nick Melsha setting the pace with a win in 55.20 seconds. Brian Tran and Mitch Tronson not far behind. Cards up 66-28 midway through the meet. Up next, the 100 free, and a great race all the way to the wall. Tyler Schultz is just able to outtouch the Panthers' Sam Clark. Cardinals finish 1-3-4, and they cruise to their sixth straight win to start the year. 97-81 the final over the Panthers.